Russia's threatened to use its veto at the UN Security Council later to close the only remaining route for vital aid to get into northwestern Syria. Like much of the Middle East, Syria is facing a dire wheat shortage triggered by the war in Ukraine and the effects of more than a decade of conflict. Closing the final remaining cross-border aid corridor would be a devastating move by Russia that would immediately put more than 3 million people at risk of starvation. Our Middle East correspondent Anna Foster reports from Reyhanli near the Turkey-Syria border.
Precious grains of rice. For many families here, they're the difference between life and death. But the convoys that deliver this vital aid are at risk.
Of course, we consider it something important and crucial because we don't have money nor work to secure food here. There's no work for my kids or for my husband here.
Idlib province is outside the control of the Syrian regime. It's in the hands of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, a jihadist alliance. The millions who live here have been displaced from their homes for years. They depend on around 1,000 UN trucks a month that travel across the border from Turkey. Inside, rice, lentils and cooking oil, along with shelters and medicine. Today, a vote at the UN Security Council will decide whether this single remaining aid route stays open. But Russia can use its veto, and has done before. Last year, an agreement between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin, hours before the vote, kept the aid flowing. This time, with Russia frozen out after its invasion of Ukraine, last-minute diplomacy might not be an option. At this hub in Turkey, just a few minutes' drive from the border, the supplies are prepared. Nearly 30 aid agencies have signed a joint letter to the Security Council. They warn that closing this operation would be devastating.
People really, they have used their coping mechanisms already by now. We know that people are cutting their food rations and quality of food. I think it's a personal tragedy.
Will people die if this crossing closes?
I think we can quite confidently say that there would be more preventable deaths because of closing this UN transshipment hub.
Aisha is checking these boxes to make sure that everything in them is humanitarian in nature, that it's sealed and it's not being used for smuggling. And when that work is done, these trucks will be locked and secured and they will go across the border to Syria and deliver this food to people who rely on it. The UN says more Syrians are in need now than at any point during the conflict. Nearly a decade after these convoys started, their work is far from over. Anna Foster, BBC News, on the Turkey-Syria border.